DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as DreAllDay, and welcome to the show. And today we are getting into part 2 of our mini series here on how and why I create so much content. Yesterday I gave you a background on this, where it comes from, why I started creating the content that I create, what it does for me, what I do with it through myself for you and for my audiences today. We're going to go even further into this, into what are the actual benefits of doing this, and maybe why you might want to get involved. Picking up on you who are listening to this, man, it's going to give a little bit more background. You who's listening to this, you do not need to. Now, even if you follow what I'm going to say yesterday and here today, you do not need to create nearly as much content as I've created. Again, I create content every single day. Even if you're in a similar lane to me, you don't need to do the same thing that I'm doing this way. There are many people in my lane who do not create that much content. But what I'm going to explain between yesterday and today, it will help you understand how you could use the same ideas and the same strategies, even if you do not employ the same tactics. Pick point number 4. Topic again today is how and why I create so much content. Number 4 is the backlog library. This is a very important point. This is one that you absolutely should not overlook. So remember how in yesterday's episode, the last point I was talking about McDonald's and how they have Hamburger University and how they have a whole process behind how they teach someone how to run a McDonald's as a manager and or a franchisee. Remember that? Now, the reason why McDonald's can do what they do is because they've documented every single thing that it takes to run a McDonald's. Now, someone like yourself or myself, our businesses are not so much like a McDonald's, but if you're in the information business, you sell any type of information, knowledge, specialized expertise, then there is a backlog of information that someone needs to understand to be able to do what you do and or to learn from you. So when you create a lot of content talking about the things you know and explaining the things you know, you are creating a library and a backlog of all of your knowledge and all of your information. So when I first started creating content in 2005, back when my material was 100% for basketball players, I had no idea that automation and artificial intelligence would be here 20 years later. I had no way of knowing that there would be a way to take all of your content, have it transcribed into the written word, and first of all, just that period. I didn't know that there would be a way to take your ideas and turn them into products that you could sell. Even in 2005, I didn't even know that. I did not know that there would be a way to take your video content and turn video content into a book, a program, a training manual, a course, a speech, a system, or any of these things. I learned these things, but I didn't know that that was coming when I first started. So none of these was the reason that I got in the game. One thing I did understand, however, is that I knew a lot on certain subjects, and once I realized that other people valued the things that I knew, that I should position myself as the source on certain subjects so that someone could come to me and I could be a one-stop shop for them when it came to that particular subject. I had that idea as soon as I started to see, hey, I'm putting things out and people tend to be looking at me as a person who really knows his stuff on subject X. And when they have a friend who needs to know subject X, they are sending their friends over to me. Because when I first started out, a lot of people were finding out about me through word of mouth, not through an algorithm, but simply word of mouth. So I realized that I was becoming the source. So then I started being intentional about being the source, which is why in my basketball days, I had the idea of I'm going to take every single thing a basketball player could do by themselves to practice, and I'm going to do it on video, and I'm going to demonstrate it, and I'm going to explain it. And that's how I became the source when it comes to basketball in that time frame. I would say from about 2005 to about 2015, I was the source online when it came to basketball training by yourself. There were others in the game, but I was the source. And the reason I was the source is because I had the most material. That's what made me the source. And over time, more and more people got into the game. And at the same time, I was getting out of the game. So it changed after that. But the benefit of that for me being the source and for the people that I was serving was that they didn't need to go to a bunch of other places to get whatever they needed for a particular subject. Or if they needed to go somewhere else, guess who they were asking where they should go? They were asking me. So I became the source even for the source. I became the source. And I wanted to limit the number of different pieces a basketball player, for example, would need to gather in order to get everything that they needed. So I could still collaborate, but I didn't need to collaborate with everyone. I could choose the collaborators. And because I had access to the audience and they trusted me, I could help the collaborators even more than they were helping me, or find those in which it was a very symbiotic, equal relationship. And the fact that those things I mentioned, these new tools, like with the AI automation and all those things, those just became an extra benefit of the fact that I had the initial idea of I want to become the source here. And automation and AI can't create, it can create things, but it can only create based on what you give it, what you serve as a source. So you still have to have some material to feed to it so it can actually do something useful with and for what you have. So this point number 4 here about the backlog library, what this really is setting you up for is the future. And as we get into these final 2 points, you'll understand what I mean about that. So just hold that thought. Point number 5, today's topic once again is how and why I create so much content. Number 5, repurposing of material. So now that we have automations and the ability to create courses, books, programs, training materials, and all types of other things based on going through our libraries of content, if you have a library of content, there are a lot more opportunities out there for anyone who has a back catalog than there were before we even started creating, maybe even more than before we started creating. There are a lot more opportunities out there now because AI and automation can create new things. It can also make sense of what you already have and make it more organized and easy to find for someone who wants to go through your stuff. For example, I remember back in my basketball days, this is probably around 2010, 2011. I would get players who started to come to me and say, Dre, I love your basketball stuff and I want to learn from you. The problem is you have like 1,000 videos. Back then I had 1,000. Today I got about 14,000. You got 1,000 videos online, all on basketball. I don't know where to begin. I don't know when I'm finished with this video, which video do I go to next? Is there a way to make some sense of this and organize the process by which I should follow your stuff? Because I want to follow your stuff. I just don't know where to start and where to go next. That question led to my first products. My first products were training programs for basketball players in which I answered that question by solving their problem, by grabbing my own content and organizing it in such a way within a program that, okay, if you want to learn how to do this skill, do this, and they would just be different drills and things that I had demonstrated in the past. That's how I got started on it. But I had the radical idea at the time, and at the time I had a WordPress-based website. And the idea was, I want to have a website where someone could just go there, type in what they're looking for that's related to basketball, and whatever they type in, the results that would show would just be videos related to that very thing. I said, wouldn't it be cool if there was some type of website that could do this? And I talked to a couple developers asking about it. And the thing that most of them were saying was it is possible to be done. It's just that someone would have to catalog what every video is about and like explanations, not just off the title of the video, because my titles are often actually very descriptive, but also maybe going into other things that may have gotten said in the video. And it would just be a very long process because it would have to be manually done somehow, some way. And it wasn't really a smooth way to do it that was cost effective. But what I just described, any of you who knows anything about automation knows that that is actually pretty easy to do these days because AI and automation now can do it for you. Now you have bots that you can customize with just your knowledge, and someone can go into the bot and type in something about your stuff and only get answers that are based on the knowledge that you have fed to it. So for example, and by the time you hear this may have already occurred. I may have already deployed this. What's coming, I'll tell you something that's coming to work on your game university. I'll tell all of you this right now, is that there is going to be a custom bot that is by and about Dre Baldwin. To where I can take, for example, every basketball video I've ever created, feed all the basketball videos into the bot. And you can go there and ask any question about anything I've ever taught or explained in basketball. And what will come up are 15 results of me doing that thing on the basketball court and explaining it. And then you can just watch those 15 videos. Or I can feed every episode in the history of this show, the Work on Your Game Masterclass /podcast, and any question that you want to ask me or ask my bot about something I've talked about on this show, It will pull up what I said. It will give you in context what I said. And if you want to hear the whole episode where I said it, it will not only link you to the episode, it will also tell you the exact part of the show in which I said what it pulled out of context. Or if you want to listen to the whole thing, you can do that. So this is what artificial intelligence bots are doing right now today. There are people who are employing this right now today. And you can use this. Many of you maybe see this when you go to any type of software, or it doesn't even have to be software, any company's website. They usually have some type of AI bot that answers questions, right? So you can ask it a question and a bot will answer questions based on having been fed all the FAQs on the company's website, or just everything on the company's website. So you ask a question, and if there's anything on the website that answers that question, then what the AI bot will tell you is, okay, here are my answers to that question, because it tries to understand what you're asking, and then it'll answer the question. And these bots are actually very good. They even understand what you're trying to ask if you don't do a good job of asking. I use ChatGPT every day, and I often misspell things when I'm typing in there, but it doesn't matter because ChatGPT understands in context what I'm trying to say, even when I misspell stuff. I misspell things a lot when I'm typing because, first of all, I do a whole lot of talk to text these days, where I don't actually type with my fingers. I just say things and the stuff spits out. So these days, a lot of the books that I write are written with talk to text rather than me actually typing with my fingers. So my spelling has gotten worse because I'm not using the skill. The point is that AI bots understand you even when you're making a mistake. So what I'm saying here is that this backlog of material that you have created, if you have any, you can repurpose this in a whole lot of different ways. Not repurposing, you have to go make something new. You can repurpose it in that you take everything you've created, feed it into a certain mechanism, push a button, and it creates a new thing, but it's based only on your stuff. So it's not some generic shit like there are programs out there like that will write a book for you with 100% AI. I've tried to use them and they all sucked. They sucked for me because when I write my books, there's a lot of my personality in my books. So I can't have ChatGPT write a book for me because it has none of my personality. It doesn't work. But if I was feeding, let's say there was a ChatGPT that was just Dre Baldwin's material and I had it write something based on that, that's a whole different ballgame. You understand? That's where we're at right now. But that's happening right now. That's available right now for everybody. So with this now being conscious and available for all of us, we can create constantly, knowing that it will eventually get translated into other usable formats, not only for free stuff, but also things that we can charge for. This is a huge business opportunity for anyone who has knowledge to share, even if you are starting today. So understand, don't look at me and compare yourself and say, well, Dre, I got like 100 videos out and you got 50,000. How am I supposed to get in this game? You can get in the game with 100 videos. You can get in the game starting right now, folks. This game is just beginning. Trust me, it's just beginning. So this is a huge business opportunity for any of you who has knowledge. The more of it you can get documented, meaning explained, recorded in some way, shape, or form, then you can feed all of that into certain mechanisms that can create new things for you that you don't have to go manually create everything on your own. And understand, we're in the first inning, metaphorically, of this AI internet automation game. Our baseball game is 9 innings, by the way. This is just the first inning of the game. So even if you're starting new today, you're still in a highly advantageous position. So this is a great opportunity for all of you. The key is all of your knowledge must be extracted from your head and documented in some way, shape, or form. Video, audio, text, whatever you got. All three, if you have all three. Point number six. Today's topic, once again, is how and why I create so much content. Number 6, creating a legacy. All right, every point that I've made up to this point goes into this point right here. The definition of a legacy is something handed down from an ancestor or predecessor of the past. What I mean in this context is all the material that gets created now can still provide value and serve people long after you or I are long gone or completely out of the game, or we just decide we don't want to create anymore. There's going to come a day where I say I want to record any more episodes of this very show that you're listening to, but the material that I have created up to that point can still provide value to people, even if they decide to start listening to podcasts the day after I decide to stop publishing them. The content that I'm creating now, I am setting up to be a part of a self-sustaining business that will operate and generate revenue even after Dre Baldwin no longer exists. And simply all the business is going to do is follow the rules and processes and systems that I am putting in place now while I'm alive and active in the game. So I will tell it exactly what I want it to do, and then the business will run itself, because all it's going to do is follow what? The documentation that I've already put in place. Now, you see how all this comes full circle? And you can do the same thing, everybody. This is what you really need to understand. Now, this is not about me. I'm using myself as an example, but you can do the exact same thing as long as you have usable knowledge to share with other people, and there are people out there who value it. you can be in this game. What I'm describing here is a system. The good thing about systems, folks, is that systems can be duplicated. Talent cannot be duplicated. Systems can be duplicated. And you can replicate a system, meaning make a copy. You can repeat it, do it over and over again. It can be executed by others, meaning you can hand it off and pass it on. As long as the instructions are clear and they efficiently produce an effective result, you can do the same thing. And this is something that I'm working on as we speak, working on documenting this stuff. And this is something that's going to be available for members inside of Work on Your Game University. Hey, here's the system of how you start documenting what you know, and here are the different ways that you can deploy it in ways that you can use to sell and help your clients and your customers in different industries. There's a lot of people in Work on Your Game University in all different industries, but the system that is going to be available to members is going to be replicatable and duplicatable across industries, because the framework is going to be exactly the same. And then what I can coach people on is, okay, how do we apply this in your space? You're in the finance space. Okay, here's how you do it. You're an accountant. Here's how you do it. You're a lawyer. Here's how you do it. You're in the medical space. Here's how you do it. You are coaching people. You can do it this way. You're writing books. You want to be a speaker. There are different ways that it can be done in detail, but the frame is going to be useful and replicatable for everybody once you get access to it and you start using it. And then all the tools necessary, we're going to put all that stuff together system-wise. So all this being said, everyone should be looking to do this with whatever professional level knowledge you have. It doesn't matter what it is. Any professional level knowledge you have, you should ask yourself, who could benefit from this knowledge and how can I get it to them? And in what package does it need to be delivered? These are questions you should be asking, because there's a big opportunity out here for any of you. Even if you are working at a job right now, but you have professional knowledge of how that job operates, are there people outside of your job who need that knowledge? And how could you get it to them, and how would you need to package it? There are opportunities here for everybody. That said, let's recap part 2 of our mini series here. How am I create endless content? Number 4 is the backlog library. All right, this backlog library becomes an asset moving forward as long as you learn how to deploy the asset and actually get something out of it, which leads us to point number 5, repurposing of material. Understand the same material packaged in a different way has a different value and is a whole different product to the outside world. So you recorded something as a video course, you can turn that video course into a book. You can turn that book into a training program. You can turn that training program into a mastermind retreat. You can turn the same material, but it's the same material every single time. You're just using it in a different format and delivering it to people in a different way, meaning it has a completely different value. And this is what people are doing in business already. What I'm explaining to you all is that AI and automation are going to make it even easier for you to do even more of this. But what you still need to do is come up with the marketing plan, the idea, the strategies and system to get it to the people who actually need it. And number 6, creating a legacy. This is something that is handed down from an ancestor or predecessor of the past. All of you, if you have professional level knowledge, you can set up a system to where your name, image, and likeness and knowledge are making you and your family and your heirs money even after you are no longer in the game, but you must set up the system in order for this to work. That's the part you have to do. All these other pieces I'm telling you, got to do these too, but you must set up the system to make this work, because if you don't, then you could be like a lot of people who had a lot of knowledge, but after they pass, their knowledge becomes pretty much worthless because nobody knew what to do with it. You need to be thinking about this right now while you're still in the game, or before you even get in the game. All that said, everybody, at workonyourgameuniversity.com, I just told you, I'm coaching people and helping people and putting these things together with your knowledge so that you can make money from what you know, what you've done, and what you can help other people do. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and learn more about working with me directly as your coach. Work on your game. Dre all